welcome to the Claremont Colleges virtual information session. We are going to go ahead and start getting started to try and make sure we can answer as many of your questions as possible. Just as a preface, there is a Q&A box that should be at the bottom of your screen. You should have access to go ahead and write any of your questions as we go throughout the presentation. Please note, if you do have a question specifically for a specific institution, we would recommend that you go ahead and put that institution's name in the question so that their chatter can go ahead and introduce themselves and let them know, that question is specifically for them. So we are going to go ahead. I'm going to quickly do a kind of round robin introduction. So hi, my name is Natalia. I'm one of the Associate Directors of Admission at Harvey Mudd College. We're going to go ahead and go in founding order. So Andy, if you want to go ahead and pop in and just say hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andy. I am an admissions officer at Pomona College.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leanne Dominguez. I use she, her pronouns. I'm here representing Scripps College, which is also my alma mater. I'm a graduate from the class of 2013.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shelby Moda. I'm an Assistant Dean of Admission here at Claremont McKenna College.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sydney. I'm also an alum from Pitzer. I graduated in 2023, and now I'm an admissions counselor here. So nice to meet you all.
Perfect. All right. And then you'll notice some other folks that are on there. Again, those are other representatives from our institutions. You will see them in the chat in the Q&A. So feel free to go ahead and interact with them. But let's go ahead and let's get started and tell you what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to do a very brief overview of the Claremont Colleges, the consortium, how we interact with one another, a little bit of information about our admissions processes, our shared resources, and things like that. Then we're going to go ahead and each college will do about a 5 to 6 minute presentation about their individual institution. So we'll go over the shared things, and then we're going to tell you how we differentiate ourselves. And lastly, we'll kind of wrap up with about 10 to 15 minutes of a Q&A session. So just kind of note that as we are going through, again, there will be folks answering your questions, but if there are specific questions that you would like to hear about, you can always upvote in the Q&A section, and we'll be answering some questions live at the very end. But let's go ahead and let's get started and tell you a little bit about Southern California. So the Claremont Colleges, we are located in sunny Southern California. We're actually located in Claremont, which is known as the city of trees and PhDs. We are pretty much about an hour from anything that you have access to. So there's mountains, there's beaches, there's desert. You can see Joshua Tree National Park, any of the different beaches along the coast. So we are in Southern California, about a 45-minute drive away from downtown LA. Just on the south side of campus, you actually have the Metrolink, which is essentially just on the south side of Pomona. You have access to go straight into Union Station from the downtown Claremont. So you have access to all of this, but just kind of knowing that there are different options. You don't always have to drive or fly into LA as an international airport. There is a closer airport about 15 minutes away. So if you're worried about that, the Ontario International Airport is just down the road. Now, life in Claremont, I mentioned that we are the city of trees and PhDs, and this is the map that will show you a little bit as to where we are located in Claremont. So Claremont itself is a small suburban town. We're about 35 miles east of LA. So think suburban, not big skyscrapers, not big city. We are a very small, essentially college town. That is the idea behind it. You have access to all the different Claremont colleges that are here on your screen, but you also have access to the city itself. So you see the Claremont Village that is on the screen there. That's like a couple hundred different restaurants, a movie theater. You have access to a ton of different things here in Claremont. There are 5 undergraduate colleges. So when we refer to the 5 Cs, that's typically what we're talking about, the 5 undergraduate colleges, but there are technically 7 schools in Claremont. So you also see Claremont Graduate University, and down in the Claremont Village area is actually Keck Graduate Institute. So there are technically 7 schools in Claremont. All 7 were designed to kind of integrate and allow our students to take classes across the campuses, but the 5 are definitely the ones that you hear about the most because they are undergraduate only, meaning students who are pursuing a Bachelor's of Science or a Bachelor's of Arts. In founding order, you heard us go ahead and present, and we will continue going in founding order throughout the presentation. But just to kind of give you a brief history, Pomona College was our founding father institution. They were built back in the 1800s with the idea of essentially bringing the East Coast liberal arts style school here to the West Coast. And it worked so well that we ended up having to create multiple other institutions in order to keep up with the demand. And so the different schools in founding order are Pomona, then you have Scripps, who's a reflection of the 1920s women's suffrage movement, and you'll hear all about that from Leanne in a little bit. After Scripps came Claremont McKenna at the tail end of World War II. You actually saw Men's College created that then went co-ed in the 1970s and had a name change to Claremont McKenna. So a little bit more you'll hear from Shelby as well. And then Harvey Mudd in the 1950s. We are a reflection of the space race and the Cold War. So very much a STEM school located within the Claremonts. And then lastly, but definitely not least, is Pitzer. That's going to be a reflection of the 1960s, civil rights, Vietnam War, kind of all these different social moments that were happening during that decade. So the idea was that each school was supposed to reflect the history of the decade that they were built in, but every single school has expanded past that. You have the ability to go ahead and study at all 5. So you get to take classes at any of the different colleges, you get to eat at any of the different colleges. Now, there's 17, possibly about to be 18 different places to eat across the different schools. You get the opportunity, there's 7 different dining halls, about 10 different restaurants and eateries across the campuses. So you get to really explore. 1 square mile is actually a lot bigger than you expect it to be, which is really kind of fun. From the top of campus to the bottom, I stroll all the time from my office. It takes about 20 minutes if you're walking slowly, about 15, maybe 10 if you're on a bike. So a couple things to note there. Now, what do we have in common? So a couple of things to note. We are strictly undergraduates. When we're talking about the 5 Claremont colleges, we are strictly undergraduates. So I talked about the Bachelor's of Science, the Bachelor's of Arts. That's what you're going to get from these different institutions. Each institution is going to offer something different on that part. We are all small private liberal arts colleges, meaning our student-faculty ratios are typically less than 10 to 1. So you'll hear about that more specifically from each institution, but just kind of knowing that. Our average class sizes as well, we all have less than 18 students per class. So again, kind of going along that small liberal arts vein that you're seeing there. Every single one of the campuses offers funded research, internships, different opportunities on our campuses. Some schools allow you to actually take some of those opportunities across the different campuses. I myself, I didn't get to mention, but I am actually an alum from Pitzer, and I did do research at Harvey Mudd, which is why I work here now. So a little bit of context there. And then the other big thing is obviously access to the arts and humanities, the natural sciences. We have everything across the different campuses. So while some of us may focus a little bit more in one area, as a liberal arts college and as a member of the Claremont Colleges, you're expected to take classes across the different campuses to get a well-rounded education. That's what the liberal arts and sciences is about. All of us offer study abroad. So every single campus, some of us actually combine for different study abroad opportunities and allow you to take some of the different study abroad opportunities across the campuses. It's truly up to you, but all 5 offer this. And then of course, Division III varsity sports. This is something that's very interesting. Some of us do have this in common, and some of us share this, and some of us are actually rivals. So Claremont McKenna, Harvey Mudd, and Scripps actually combined together for our NCAA Division III sports, and then Pomona and Pitzer are our rivals just across the street. That is our 6th Street rivalry. So you'll hear a little bit more about that later. As far as academics and liberal arts, again, I keep kind of touching upon this idea of the liberal arts and sciences. We are all very small seminar style classes that you're going to be involved in as you navigate across the consortium. There's cross registrations. It's actually, about 2,700 courses that we offer per year. That's the ability for you to go ahead and decide what is, do I want to take this class on this campus or do I want to take it on that campus? You have the ability to see every single class on the course registration system. We share resources. So if you're involved in things, like for example, the Office of Chicano Latino Student Affairs, the Office of Black Student Affairs, the Queer Resource Center, we share a ton of different resources across the 5 campuses. So that's one of the benefits of the consortium. There are certain campuses that allow you to major off campus. So it's going to depend on the institution, but for the most part, we typically share that. So just kind of keep that in mind. And of course, shared arts programs. So if you want to be a part of the joint music program, or maybe you want to be part of our theater program, there are different shared art spaces across the different campuses. Intercollegiate majors and departments. This kind of goes along with that, the off-campus major policies aspect. It's the ability for us to have multiple different departments that interact with one another, because you might have, a similar major on multiple different campuses. So that's a big portion of it. And of course, advising, because we are so small, you have the ability to be advised by different professors, not just on your campus, but potentially at the other Claremont colleges. So again, just kind of on that thread. As far as student life and recreation, there are about 6,000 undergraduates in Claremont. So there's a lot that we do to keep students occupied. I talked about the different dining halls. You'll hear about some of us as we continue on throughout the day. But just know that your key card access works for all of them. You can go and have breakfast at Pitzer, lunch at Pomona, and dinner at Scripps. It's kind of up to you where that's going to go. Most students travel around based on their favorite meal of that day. There are upwards of 250 different clubs and organizations. You can always look on the Claremont Colleges website and see if any of these organizations are active for the 5 colleges, or sometimes they're only for one specific school. You'll hear about those a little bit more as we continue on through the presentation, but just kind of know that. I talked a little bit about some of the shared affinity spaces. So for example, again, the Office of Chicano Latino Student Affairs, the Office of Black Student Affairs, some of us share these different spaces. There are also smaller aspects on each of the different campuses. So if you're looking for a more intimate experience, you're going to see that on the different campuses as well. We do offer chaplains and religious services. Those are going to be at the larger 5C event spaces as well. So again, just kind of different resources that you get to navigate, decide what type of campus experience you're truly looking for. We talked about athletics already, the 2 NCAA Division III sports teams that we do compete a part of. So we're not going to continue on that vein. But of course, there are mental health support services. There's the Disability Resource Center. There's also just a bunch of different wellness centers across the different campuses. So again, kind of up to you to decide how and where you want to get involved across the different campuses. Lastly, I'll kind of close it out with just a little bit about intramural and club. These look a little bit different from NCAA Division III. So if you're interested in it, club sports teams are typically 5C, meaning all 5 Claremonts together. Intramural are usually still within the CMS and Pomona Pitzer, but can kind of cross those lanes depending as to what sport it is. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and pass it on over to Leanne to tell us a little bit more.
Thank you, Natalia. So the next 2 slides are going to be very different than everything that Natalia just covered. Natalia was sharing the things that we share across our institutions once a student is enrolled here and is going to one of these schools. But these next 2 slides are going to be specific to the admission process. And just so you all know, it's completely fine if you are connecting to more than one of us. We have practice in collaborating in this environment, so we completely understand if you like more than one of us. It's what you should be doing, is exploring and learning about as many institutions as you know, or as you can, so that when you're applying to different schools, you have a lot of variety in the type, in the vibe of the school, in the environment. So these slides, they're going to be very specific to the admission process. And just so you all know, we don't share information with each other on the admission side. So if you like more than one of us, that's awesome. That's great. It ups your chances of coming to Claremont. But we have no idea if you like more than one of us unless you tell us. And I don't think anyone would tell us on purpose. And if you did, it would be fine. We would be supportive. But my point is, when you're applying to us, we are acting as 5 separate institutions who have very similar processes, but they are very separate. So to apply to more than one at Claremont College, you do have to submit a separate application for each institution. And the things that we all have in similar, all of us, all 5 undergraduate schools accept the common application. We all have pretty small teams compared to much larger universities. And so there is a review process that is going to be holistic, that is going to take into account every applicant material that you send us. And often an application is going to be read by multiple people within our teams. All of us require supplemental essays. And if you don't know what that is, our supplemental essays are additional questions. They're often shorter than the personal essay that you all have likely been working on. And they're going to be school specific. They're going to be tied to that school's values, that school's focus. And so they should be different responses for each individual school you're applying to. And just know that all Claremont colleges have our own individual supplemental essays. All of us also have pretty generous financial aid. We're also some of the most expensive colleges in the country. So that is nice that those 2 things happen at the same time. So along all the Claremont colleges, If they admit you, they are also making a financial commitment to meet 100% of the demonstrated financial need. And that is determined through submitting financial documents, the FAFSA, the CSS profile, if you're from California, the Cal Grant, and then some additional materials if you're applying as an international student. All of us offer similar admission rounds. All of us offer early decision rounds. All of us offer regular decision rounds. None of us offer early action. So keep that in mind as you're putting together your timelines for applying to each of our institutions. And then lastly, it's an obvious thing. We all offer online programs for you to get to know us. We all offer online info sessions. Potentially, we might offer all of us, not all of us, but we might offer interviews that can be done online. And since COVID, there's just a lot more information to learn about these different schools. Next slide, please. So this is another breakdown again of things that we share with each other and things that we don't within the admission process. So within the 5 undergraduate schools, 3 of us are Questbridge schools. That includes Scripps, Pomona College, and Claremont McKenna College. 2 of us are coalition schools. That includes Pomona College and Claremont McKenna College. All of us, am I right? No. 4 of the 5 of us have interviews as an option in the process. And Claremont McKenna has highly recommended interviews. Pomona does not have interviews. And then our test-free policies are going to be different across our institutions. Pitzer is test-free, Scripps is test optional. So that, again, you're going to see some differences across us, but in the majority, all of us are very similar in how we review applications, the kinds of applications that we review, but in the differences is really where you need to do some research. The differences will be our institution's missions, what the college individually values for academic curriculums, for social environment. But like I just said, there's some similarities across us. And we do present with each other, we do know each other. So we're also really well informed on each other's institutions. So if you're trying to decide which one would make the most sense for you, pick our brains. Also get to know students at each of our institutions. That'll give you a good idea of how we're different when you're actually here. I will stop there, and now we're going to get officially started with our presentations of each individual schools, and we're going to do this very similarly to our introductions. We're going to go in founding order. So I'm going to pass it on to Andy, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.
Yes, thank you, Leanne. Hi again, everyone. Andy Kinley, he, him, his. I'm an admissions officer at Pomona College. So to begin a little bit, we were founded in 1887, as Natalia kind of mentioned. We were the founder of the Claremont College Consortium. We were founded kind of when a group of congressionalists had seen that, Northeastern liberal arts college model and were like, oh my God, this is so great. Let's move it to Southern California. And so, they really admired that kind of model where students and professors, they really knew each other. And, kind of where curiosity and community, they went hand in hand. And so that's still who Pomona is today. As Natalia mentioned, all the colleges, all of the Claremont colleges, we are just located within 1 square mile of each other. And so I always like to say one of the benefits of the consortium is that it can feel as big or as small as you would like it to. All in all, there ends up being around 6,000 undergraduate students just within that 1 square mile of each other. And so, while Pomona is home to over 1,700 students, you can make connections with over, 6,000 students that end up being here. It also means that you kind of get the best of both worlds. So you get that tight-knit, environment that's indicative of a small liberal arts college like Pomona, where professors, they're going to know your name and they're going to know your face. And your classmates, you're going to be living with them and they're going to become your close friends. But you also get the resources of like a mid-sized research university. So you can take classes at the other colleges. We share clubs and organizations. You can eat at the dining halls. The food is extremely good. I feel like we don't talk about it enough, but it's very good. And so the experience of being a consortium student, it ends up being very seamless. It's a very seamless experience. Academically at Pomona, we offer 48 majors. Some students say that we offer 47 plus 1 majors. 47 is Pomona's lucky number, but our majors span across the arts, the humanities, social sciences, and the natural sciences. What's nice is that you actually don't declare an official major until the second semester of your second year here at the institution. And so while you are able to declare what I would like to say an academic interest on your initial application, you don't officially declare that until, you officially matriculate to the institution and are here for a couple of years. That's particularly very nice because if you're someone who thinks that you might want to study physics and then you take an economics class and fall in love with it, you have the time to explore that. And we want you to explore that. We want you to have that freedom to follow that curiosity that is pretty indicative of the Pomona experience. And kind of speaking of, this intellectual curiosity, that's something that really does define Pomona students. It's a place full of people who love learning for the sake of learning. They ask, our students ask thoughtful questions, and they really want to connect ideas across disciplines. So like across from the arts to the hard sciences and things like that. An average class size here is around 13 students. And so that means that the discussions that you'll be having in your classes, they're deep and they're interactive, and they'll continue outside of class, at lunch and even at dinner or at a professor's house, things like that. We're very research oriented. Over 62% of our students do conduct research with a faculty member prior to graduating from Pomona. Many do it through the summer undergraduate research program that we have. It's essentially whereby you're paired with a professor who has similar research interests that you do. You get paid a stipend. The research typically happens over the summer, and then at the end of the summer, you create a poster board that you present to faculty, to staff, and to fellow peers. You might be doing lab work in neuroscience, collaborating on like an anthropological paper, things like that. But one of the other things is that we want research and internships to be accessible to anyone who might want them, and mentorship as well. Also, something that's pretty characteristic of Pomona students is that they're not just driven academically, they're very driven to make a difference in the world. So whether it's through community engagement in the city of Los Angeles or in Claremont itself, or doing global research projects and things of that nature, the students here, they're extremely thoughtful and passionate, and they're collaborative, never competitive. And so it creates a really supportive, inspiring sort of environment. To get into a little bit of financial aid information, we have a commitment to access and affordability. It's kind of one of the pillars that we have here. We're one of the few schools in the country that meets 100% of demonstrated need for all of our admitted students without the inclusion of loans and financial aid packages. And so that means that your financial aid package would essentially be composed of grants, and then if you qualify for it for work study, grants never need to be repaid, and then work study is kind of just whenever you work a job and pay it off as you go. Around 50%, 59% of our students, or 59% of our most recent incoming class, received financial aid, kind of, reflecting our commitment to access and affordability. The financial aid that we offer here at Pomona, it's strictly need-based, so we don't offer merit scholarships or athletic scholarships because we are D3. It's strictly need-based. And so I did want to mention that. Outside of the classroom, very residential experience. Most of our students live on campus. As Natalia mentioned, we're close to the mountains, the beach. Downtown LA is just 45 minutes away. And so you get that balance between a very calm college town and then a bustling city like LA. And I will pass it over to Scripps.
Thanks, Andy. And hi again, everyone. So again, my name is Leanne Dominguez. I use she, her pronouns. And I have been working at Scripps. This is my 13th year. Prior to that, I was a Scripps student. So I know Scripps very well and love it quite a bit. So talking a little bit about Scripps. So our founder, her name was Ellen Browning Scripps, and she was pretty active in the development of several educational institutions during her life. She believed that everyone should have access to education, and that was a lifelong focus of hers. And she founded us when she was 90 years old. We were sort of her final project that she had, and she envisioned Scripps to be a supportive environment where collaboration is expected, and where mentorship happens organically. That vision of hers, thinking about the value of education and the value of access to education, I would say is still a really important value for Scripps now. So along with the history of being founded in the 1920s, you see how Scripps values access to education through several initiatives, including Scripps houses a college access program called the Scripps College Academy, and it's existed for over 20 years. Scripps was the first of the Claremont colleges to create a program that supports first-generation students. It was created while I was a Scripps student. Scripps also passed the trans-inclusive admission policy in 2016, along with a lot of other women's colleges that were doing very similar work. And then finally, we became permanently test optional in 2020, when a lot of other schools had to do that, but our policy is permanent. So two main things that I want to focus on when we're talking about Scripps: the fact that we're a women's college, and our interdisciplinary curriculum. So first, being a women's college, while you'll hear me use the language women's colleges, I think it's important to note that we do have a diverse student body, including trans and non-binary students. For us, being a women's college means that campus programming, resources, support, all of that is created with the intent to prepare our students for their careers, for their advanced studies, for their overall lives. And we can assume that they likely will navigate male-dominated careers. So we are preparing them for success within that. Women's colleges in general are known for providing an educational environment that both nurtures and challenges students to be their best. And graduates of women's colleges are twice as likely to earn a PhD, to attend medical school, to attain higher positions in their careers, to earn higher incomes, and overall be more involved in philanthropic activities, very similar to our founder. Studies also show that graduates of women's colleges have a lot more self-confidence, they're higher achieving, they're strong role models, and there's an emphasis on networking and mentorship. So all of those are reasons why I've continued to stay here at Scripps for my own career. So a little bit about us being a women's college. The other thing, like I said, is our interdisciplinary curriculum. So that is really what defines us as different than the other schools in the consortium. And all of the other Claremont colleges are also interdisciplinary based institutions as liberal arts colleges, but it's really driven home for Scripps students through a sequence of classes called the core curriculum. Core A, you take your first semester of your first year. Core B, you take your second semester of your first year. And this introduces students to what interdisciplinary learning is, and that is truly the crux of the Scripps academic experience. And the sort of the way that people develop that and learn about interdisciplinary learning, again, is through that core program. And as a result, many of our students will choose to pursue more than one field. So 20% of our students will double or dual major. About 60% of our students will major in minor. So very, very popular. At Scripps, just so you get an idea, at Scripps, our top majors last year were biology, economics, English, politics, psychology, and media studies. So kind of a little bit of everything. And then our last year's top 5 minors were computer science, French studies, media studies, art, and our Spanish, Latin American, and Caribbean literatures and cultures minor, which has been the most popular minor at Scripps for the last 5 years. So just to reiterate, at Scripps, you will really focus on interdisciplinary learning. Year 1 is focused on core. Year 2 is where students declare their major. Year 3 is where students at Scripps typically don't go abroad. About 60% of our students go abroad. And then year 4 is focused on writing a senior thesis, which makes all of our students incredible communicators, writers, and debaters as well. So finally, Scripps, I think, attracts students who are ambitious, intellectually curious, creative, and social change oriented. At Scripps, they learn the strength of their voice, and they graduate from Scripps understanding that their opinions and thoughts are important in the classroom and are needed to better the world around them. I'll leave it there and pass it on to my colleague at CMC.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Shelby Mudd. I'm an assistant dean of admission here at CMC. Just to cover a little bit of our foundation, again, we were founded right after World War II by veterans, so a huge emphasis on econ and gov, and those are still 2 of our most popular majors till this day. We are very mission driven, so you'll hear our mission thrown around a lot, whether it's through our curriculum, our internships, research, study abroad. Our unofficial motto is learning for the sake of doing. So we really want to give you those hands-on experiences before graduation. And so I know we all talked a little bit about how the 5 Cs is about 6,000 students. At CMC, we're about 1,300 students, and we enroll about 330 students each fall. Our average classroom size is 18 students, and so again, just that small, tight-knit community, the ability to connect closely with your faculty and peers, whether that is simply a friendship or that leads to internship or research opportunities. About 62% of our students participate in faculty-led research, and about a third of our students publish their research by the time that they graduate. And so this is outside of our 11 research institutes and centers on campus. Again, we do not have graduate students. You are not competing for these graduate level research opportunities. CMC does not admit by major. We are separated into 40 plus academic areas of interest. And so we do ask you on the application your top 2 majors of interest. And that's really just for us to get an understanding of what you are interested in pursuing, what you are passionate about, but we don't hold you to that. We understand that college is a very exploratory phase. And so we give you those first 2 years to do that. And then after that, you are able to declare your major. And so we have 22 majors at CMC. We have 11 sequences, and so I know that one of my colleagues mentioned sequences in there. I get this question a lot about what are sequences. Sequences are akin to a minor. The idea behind the sequence is that you are sequencing off of various disciplines rather than being siloed within that one discipline. And so our curriculum is very interdisciplinary here. I mentioned Econ and Gov being 2 of our most popular majors. The other 2 of our top 4 are going to be Psych and International Relations. And as far as sequences, our top 4 sequences are leadership, data science, computer science, and financial economics. And so that's just a little bit about how we do academics here at CMC. If we can flip the page, please. And so we really try and work on our diversity, especially when we are in travel season. We try and meet with as many students as possible and try and visit as many territories as possible. We are currently at 47 countries. About 15% of our students are international. About 17% of our students are first generation to attend college within their family. And we represent almost all 50 states. Study abroad here, we have over 125 student study abroad sponsored programs in over 40 countries. We do cover all 7 continents, and so you're really able to participate in that study abroad within your 3rd year. Our most popular program is technically not abroad, it's our Washington, D.C. program. And so that program is a full-time internship, 40 hours a week in D.C. You're also taking 2 traditional seminar classes and an independent study. So again, great example of learning for the sake of doing. About 40% of our students participate in study abroad, and about 90% of our students participate in at least one internship by the time that they graduate. And so our Soul Center for Student Opportunity has roughly $2 million every summer that is designated for our sponsored internships and experiences. It could be anywhere within the US or abroad. Last summer, 464 of our students got an average funding of about $4,000 for their internship or experience in the summer. Again, they're in places like Senegal, Africa, Mexico City, the Swiss Alps. One of our students was commercial tuna fishing off the coast of Boston for 9 weeks. And so it really looks different for everyone, but we have a huge partnership with our alumni and parent network, and we really want to, again, provide you with those opportunities and resources. And so we really focus on those internships, on career coaching, and research. I mentioned research with faculty, research through our institutes, but our newest major, our Kravis Department of Integrated Sciences, also has research within that first foundational course, which is Codes of Life. So you'll be doing a lot of coding in Python, a lot of generative AI, and research within that first course. And so that's just a little bit of everything here at CMC. Again, mission driven. You'll see that a lot in our application process as well, but I also want to pass it over to my colleague at Pitzer.
I think it's
Sorry,
actually
Harvey Mudd. Sorry, Natalia.
I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm next. It's all good. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Natalia. I'm one of the Associate Directors of Admission at Harvey Mudd. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about Harvey Mudd being the liberal arts college of engineering, science, and mathematics and what that entails. So essentially, Harvey Mudd, as I mentioned at the very beginning, we were built in the 1950s, the decade of the Cold War, the space race, essentially kind of a STEM decade. And so you needed scientists, engineers, and mathematicians to keep up with the demand at the time. But as a part of the Claremont Colleges, we are a liberal arts college that has a little bit more of a STEM focus. So we actually have the smallest list of majors. As you saw, some of our other colleagues over here have upwards of 40. We have 14. And so we are a little bit more focused if you are interested in things like engineering or computer science or different opportunities on our campus, biophysics, all of these different areas. We have a lot of combined majors on our campus, so it is rather difficult to do an actual double major on our campus. So combined majors allow you to go ahead and kind of pick and choose the most important aspects between these different areas. So for example, if you're doing chem bio or if you're doing math and physics, you kind of get to pick and choose between these different areas. Our top majors at Mudd are, well, consistently it's computer science and engineering fighting it out for that #1 spot, but you're going to see math and a couple of different combined majors also making an appearance in that top list. With that being said, as a liberal arts college, Harvey Mudd is very similar to our colleagues down the road. Don't admit based on major. We allow you to go ahead and express majors of interest on your application, but we actually have something called our own core curriculum. So like you heard Scripps kind of mention theirs, ours looks a little bit different on Mudd's campus. Instead, it's actually one class for every single department we have to offer on our campus, and that entails your entire first year and a little bit of your sophomore year. So the idea is that you come to Harvey Mudd thinking you want something in STEM because you are going to take one class in every STEM discipline we offer. So you'll get to take a multivariable, calculus class. You'll get the chance to take a special relativity class the second you come to Mudd, chemistry, bio, some engineering courses. You'll get to do an underwater robotics course as the very beginning and basis to engineering. So it kind of just depends, but just knowing that we don't admit based on major. You cannot declare your major until your sophomore year. And so you go through Harvey Mudd, kind of exploring the different STEM disciplines and really finding your niche. We are the smallest out of all the Claremont colleges. So you see 921 students. That's intentional. When folks think about STEM education, they oftentimes think of a very large, lecture hall that they're not going to get a chance to get the opportunity to do research or things like that. And that's not really what Mudd is about. So instead, you get the opportunity to go ahead. 100% of our students graduate Harvey Mudd doing research. 60% of our classes have less than 20 students in them. You really get the opportunity to get your hands dirty when you come to Mudd in the lab and in research. With that being said, the other big portion of research on our campus is clinic. If you have not heard of this, it's essentially our flagship program here for engineers, computer scientists, computer science math joint majors. For everyone else, this is optional. You could do your own thesis or your own research, but it's essentially where companies come to Harvey Mudd and get the opportunity to go ahead and actually work with, our students. So you are patenting things, you are building things, you're working with NASA JPL, you're working with the national laboratories, you're working with Tesla, Toyota, Bobcat Doosan, any and every company you could possibly think of. So it really just depends as to what that looks like. It's a big part of our engineering degree because Harvey Mudd offers what's known as a general degree in engineering. So if you are unfamiliar with this, it's essentially the opportunity for you to come to Harvey Mudd and explore multiple different types of engineering. So we have essentially kind of umbrella terms, which are going to be science, systems, and design courses that are going to kind of group your different classes together. So you'll take some chemical engineering, some mechanical engineering, some systems engineering, kind of a little bit of everything before you truly specialize in certain areas. So if you're thinking, I really want mechanical engineering or I really want aerospace engineering, but I don't see it on Mudd's list, just know that the courses are there for you to be able to go ahead and specialize within it. It's just the opportunity for you to have a general approach to engineering before you go ahead and actually focus in on one specific area. With that being said, you do see a little bit about our outcomes here. It's actually increased for the class of 2025. Our average starting salary was actually $125,000. So just knowing that having the ability for industry to be on our campus and for our students to get involved in industry in their junior and senior year really kind of helps when it comes to outcomes. We're the second highest producer of STEM PhDs when you adjust it per size. And Mudd's actually governed by an honor code on our campus, which is really interesting. It's essentially where we allow our students to have a level of freedom that you don't typically see. They have key card access to all of the academic spaces. So you'll find students in and out of the research labs at any given time. We practice a lot of opportunity for our students to have a collaborative experience instead of a competitive experience. We know that our students are oftentimes used to being the tutors and not the ones being tutored. So instead we offer what's known as tutoring and academic excellence on the weekends. So opportunities for you to really kind of work in collaboration and get the help that you may need without really feeling like you need the help in that process. And then lastly, kind of closing it out, I want to make sure that we talk about admission and financial aid. So at Harvey Mudd, you heard from some of the other institutions, we actually practice what's what's known as holistic admissions as well. And we also, when it comes to financial aid, we meet 100% of demonstrated need, and we're actually no loans for families who make under $100,000 with typical assets. So again, just kind of a little bit of a process there. Everyone is automatically considered for merit scholarships at Harvey Mudd. We do have a couple of additional ones that you will need to go ahead and actually apply for. So if you're involved in FIRST or VEX Robotics, those are going to be specific scholarships that you would go ahead and get the opportunity to submit an additional essay. And then of course the President's Scholarship. That's full tuition covered all 4 years. So looks a little bit different for Harvey Mudd, but that's just a little bit of basis background. I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Pitzer now.
Awesome. Hi, everyone, and thank you to my colleagues. I'll go ahead and reintroduce myself. First of all, my name is Sydney. Nice to meet all of you. Like I said earlier, I'm an alum from Pitzer. I graduated in 2023, and I've been an admissions counselor for the last couple of years, so I've gotten to know and love Pitzer very well. As you have sort of picked up from everybody else, we very much follow the trend of reflecting the decade that we were founded in. Pitzer was founded in 1963 at the height of the civil rights movement, the LGBTQ+ movement, the environmental movement, the Vietnam War protests, just generally a lot of like student activism going on in the country, a lot of civil unrest, and that really inspired our focus in the social and behavioral sciences. That was sort of the niche that we were coming to fill in the Claremont Colleges. But like our colleagues, we definitely have expanded since then as well. We now offer 40 majors. And we have a little bit over 1,200 students. The founding in the 1960s very much inspired our core values, which is very central to who we are. We have 5 core values that our students really resonate with, and that all of our campus life programs, all that good stuff sort of follows suit. If you could go to the next slide. Awesome. Yeah. So our 5 core values are social responsibility, environmental sustainability, intercultural understanding, interdisciplinary learning, and student engagement. I usually like to start talking about student engagement first because I think that it's a really good umbrella category for the rest of the core values. We have what's called a shared governance model at Pitzer. So there are students sitting on every committee that's deciding everything on our campus, from which professors are being tenured to the hiring of our new president a couple years ago, to the smaller things on campus like the aesthetics of which cactuses are getting planted where, to which murals get painted on our walls. Students are super, super involved in every part of the process. We actually have one of the biggest student senates per capita in the whole country, which is really cool to be able to say. Lots of club involvement, and you'll always be able to walk up to a Pitzer student and ask them to talk about something that they're very passionate about, a niche passion. And I really love that about Pitzer students. We very much push our students to push our campus to follow our values more too. In terms of environmental sustainability, our students push to have our campus be divested from fossil fuels about a decade ago. So we were one of the first schools on the West Coast to be able to do so, which I'm very proud to say. Lots of our dorms on campus are very sustainable as well, most of them having at least a Gold LEED certification for sustainability, a gray water system. We have a very great food to farm to fork model in our dining halls. So everything is very local and fresh, including our student garden on campus. A lot of the fresh produce and the eggs from our chickens are used at our student cafe. Even our gym on campus, as you use the machines, it actually powers the lights and air conditioning in the building, which I love sharing with students as well. In terms of social responsibility, we have a lot of different ways for students to live up to this core value on campus. In addition to just being around a bunch of students that are very like-minded, change makers, wanting to make the world a better place. We have our social responsibility theory and praxis course. Students used to have a requirement that you would have to volunteer for 40 hours, but students felt like this was very unguided and that people were going into communities they didn't know much about. So they changed this to be the praxis and theory course. So you get to know a community and gain an internship with that community instead of just blindly volunteering. In terms of interdisciplinary learning, again, very classic core value you'll hear amongst my other colleagues as well. But I love to sort of highlight how this shows up at Pitzer. A lot of our classes sort of have that interdisciplinary lens built in. A lot of co-taught classes where professors from multiple different disciplines will come together and create something really unique. A lot of our students will also do a combined major or a self-designed major as well. For combined majors, you can have 2 different areas of focus and study them each independently, as well as where they overlap as well, which I really love. In terms of our self-designed major, it's actually one of our most popular majors to sort of create your own. About 5% of our students in every year will do this. We've had feminism and public health before. We've had foreign language education. Students that are really passionate about some sort of specific niche can really take that and run with it at Pitzer, which I really love. And then last, certainly not least, is our intercultural understanding core value. Obviously very easy to talk about study abroad here. Our study abroad programs are wonderful. About 53% of our students will study abroad. You can actually go up to 3 times too, which is really great. So you can spend a whole year and a half abroad if you choose to do so. Our professors on campus as well really emphasize this global worldview, non-Western view in our classes to sort of help students learn in a way outside of the US's view, which I also really loved as a student. We also have over 15 affinity groups for students to build community, hang out, do homework, throw events, things like this, in addition to the 5 C-wide affinity groups. But yeah, so that's a little bit about how our core values show up on our campus. I want to make sure everybody has time for questions and things like this. So I'll wrap up here and get into a couple fun facts about the 5 C's. Yeah, I think me and my colleagues are learning some of these things for the first time, and they're super cool and interesting. So yeah, feel free to glance at this, and then we'll get into some of your questions from the Q&A. Thanks, y'all.